just going to draw it. And what I'd like you to keep in mind is making sure that you sit the pear down on the canvas. Don't have it stuck right in the middle. So you want less space at the bottom of the canvas than you do have at the top. So if I make, and I want you to try and fill the canvas as much as you can too. So if I have my pear, basic pear shape is going to be, and I've got an image of the pear kind of leaning. So it's going to be going over that way. And I'm just sketching in how it's going to sit on the page. You have to think of the surfaces. There's a top surface, there's a surface where it comes out and then it comes down again, and there's a bottom surface because it's wrapping underneath. And that stem, it's not right on the edge, it comes in a little bit. So I think I've got the basic proportions here. So now I'm going to just get a little bit of accuracy and clean up. When you're drawing on a canvas, you go through your lead quite a bit because you're drawing on a rough surface, and the same with the erasers. So use one of the bigger erasers that I have in the classroom, or you'll be disappointed with how fast you're going to use up your eraser. I'm also going to get my surface, so I'm looking at where it hits the pear. Let's see, it comes up like this. This is a lot. So now I'm starting to look a little bit more detailed, and I see this come out at an angle, and it kind of straightens out here a little bit. So I'll come down like that. And then just after it shows that, it takes a bigger angle in. Then my shadow is down here. And in the one I have, the lighting is not going off that far. Some of you are going to have your lighting reflecting back on the background. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. And I'm going to stop the video, get my paint ready, and show you doing the underpainting. So once you get your drawing done, you're going to be doing an underpainting with burnt umber. It doesn't take a lot of paint. I have my paint here and a couple of brushes, fairly big brushes at the moment. And I'm going to use a good bit of water. Now this part of the painting is the closest it's going to be to watercolor. Then you don't use much water. But for this part you're letting the white of the canvas show through for your lighter values. A part of this is getting your background. So that top part is a darker gray than the lower. So I'm going to put some paint in up here. Doesn't have to be exact yet. You're going to build. And you also want this part of your painting to go fairly quick. It's a value study. So you're just looking at the lights and the darks. So it's kind of, it's tricky to know when to go fast, when not to go fast, especially on the background. I'm going to have it go fast. I'm going to be careful up around the pear, and then I brush it out loosely. Values, And I start with my darkest values. That's why I'm going to this background. But what I see a lot is students will come in and just start painting their pear and not put the background in. You can't get your values correct up here unless you have them correct around it also. So now that shadow is the next darkest. It's going to be dark right under the pear, and then it's going to get light as it goes out. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to start and I'm going to put some down on my pear. So this is my shadow area. It's a little bit lighter where it bends out. It gets dark right down in through here. And even darker underneath. And I'm just dabbing my paintbrush off a little bit and moving this paint around. So I'm just going to get that darkness there. Already starting to set off that it's darker up here than it is down here. I can come in, do a little bit more to the cast shadow. So I'm kind of working my whole painting. There's a little bit of resist with the canvas surface at first, so that's a part of just getting some color down on it. It's also another reason for doing an underpainting first. It will make your paint go down better when you go to paint your actual colors. I'm going to keep darkening over here. And I'm going to make sure it looks darker under here. The darkest part of this painting, well, there's some darks up in that stem, but the next thing is this cast shadow, which is darkest where the pear touches the surface. So I'm going to get, but I'm not building my paint up thick here. So I'm not doing it by building up thick. I'm going over it a little bit, but I don't want to put thick paint down at this stage. I want the canvas to kind of show through. And you do have to work overall, because if you keep going over the same area, you'll lift out paint that you've already put down. So there's that building process with it. And so going to other areas to work is important. That gives a little bit of drying time. Okay, so I'm almost there. I'm just going to build up a little bit more on my pear. So some things to look for. Putting these up pretty nice in the classroom, so you'll probably have better lighting than I have on this photo that was taken, where you have your shadows a little more elongated. It gives you more of a feel of uniform in direction that the light's coming from. Like this one, really, it's the shadows. Since the light's hitting it right here, that shadow should be going out behind it, and I only see it really light behind. Pear itself is round, so you get some shadow underneath here, and that's what's going on here. The thing that's not coming off very well and only is very faint is this shadow behind it. So I'm going to strengthen that a little bit across here. And it will feel more like what's going on here. So you just round this off. This is just the shadow that's kind of underneath the pear, and then I need that shadow there. But what does need to be nice and strong is where it touches the surface. I went ahead and added a little bit more darkness to make sure I showed the form. Just want to reinforce you do sometimes have to let it dry up a little bit more before you can layer on a little extra darker tones. But now it's ready to start painting color.